if she's still with the guy, once she comes out with him, the narrative is going to go back to, you see, that's the same guy. That's just what's going to happen. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it means she cheated. I'm just saying, as a blogger, that's how it's going to flip. Right now, I feel like it's been like more pro Paige, but it'll go the other way because eventually, if she is dating this guy, as people keep saying they're spotted together, eventually it's going to come out, and then she's going to have to face that. And she'll be asked again, but wait, you weren't cheating, but isn't this the guy you were spotted at 2 weeks after you announced your breakup? And the timeline gets lost because she said, we broke up a month before that. Welcome to Cocktails and Gossip, the podcast where we drink cocktails, but you better believe we're going to spill the tea. We chat reality TV, celebrity blinds, and the hottest tea from BravoandCocktails.com. And as always, it's all alleged and just for fun. We do not verify our blinds. I'm B.
And I'm Amanda. Let's get into this week's tea.
What's up, cocktailers? Hello, Amanda.
Hi, cocktailers. Hi, B. Okay, you guys, such a fun Zoom this week. As you guys know, for the large part, what happens in our cocktail party Zooms stays there. We had some really wild exclusive tea that kind of came in and was discussed.
Yeah, I think we can share some of it later.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think some of it we can share, but I think some of it we can't, of course. But let's first discuss the summer house reunion that was on last night. So they're in the bed setting, which I thought was cute. And then I
kind of know the set looked messy.
It definitely looks messy. And I'll say the other thing I wrote down in my notes is I don't like it when I can't see their shoes.
That's what it was. That was annoying.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, Lindsay walked out holding her shoes. And I think that maybe the girls didn't even wear them because we couldn't see them.
Yeah.
How did you see that?
Yeah. Because I always like to look too to see, because like generally the housewives have learned and they wear brand new pairs of shoes, and all the people, because you never see any scuffs, or like on a Louboutin, you don't see any kind of, it's just like the bright red bottom. So I like to see the shoes. So we couldn't see the shoes, but I thought the set was cute.
It was. I like the idea.
Really
I think it could have been executed better.
I agree. I would have been really nervous that I would have tripped on all those sheets if I were one of them, or Andy.
Yeah.
Okay. So Paige and Craig, the breakup, we get right into it. Curious to hear what you thought of the whole thing.
So I thought it was interesting. It was the first time I think that we had heard that they broke up in February for a weekend, which, remember when Craig said, I thought we just broke up for the weekend, we're getting back together. I was like, because there are relationships, and they usually don't end in marriage, but there are relationships where you break up, you get back together. So I see his side of it, but then I think the point that Paige was trying to make is I don't know why he was shocked, because she said that they had been having tough conversations for a year. So while we as fans weren't aware of those cracks, and like, why would we be? Obviously, they're going to try to keep that stuff private.
Right.
So I see her perspective, certainly. She really doesn't believe he had a ring.
Okay. What do you think about that?
I thought it was interesting when Amanda said, did he ask your father? Which was obviously planned because we know that they all talk privately because they're like good friends. So here's my question. Do you ask the parent before you buy the ring, or do you ask the parent before you propose? I am of the belief, my husband asked my father after he had secured the ring. I know. So
I don't think there's a proper way to do it. I don't think the fact that he hadn't said anything to Paige's father, I don't think that means that he didn't buy the ring at all. Because especially talking about the way, kind of custom ring that he bought, allegedly according to Craig, those things take time. And I would imagine that he was, I'm guessing, probably going to plan to talk to him about it at Christmas.
That's what I thought. But the other thing I thought, because I try to see both sides, is maybe Paige is so adamant he didn't have the ring because she was like, we had been having breakup conversations for a year, so why would he think we were in the place to get engaged? Which she also said He wasn't going to let me go easily. So I feel like maybe he did have a ring. Maybe he thought he could fix everything by popping the question if they made it to Christmas.
I guess
we'll never know.
And does it matter? Does it really matter? I can see where if Paige, in her certainty that he didn't have a ring, how that would have infuriated her more, because it would have further played into Craig's victim, I had no idea mentality, which Paige clearly has no patience for.
Right. So I think that's why she's driving the point home. I did that Andy was like, he told me when he was on Watch What Happens Live that he just returned it that day. And Paige is, oh, yeah, he went with his new girlfriend to return the ring. Which, by the way, some exclusive. I hear that he's not dating that girl. I don't think there's any big scandal. I just think maybe he hopped into something before he was ready.
Yeah, guys, like, people date and break up. There doesn't have to be a scandal-sized scandal about everything. Or they date and they really like somebody at first, and then a few months in, it doesn't work out. But for those of you guys who have been hoping to take advantage of Craig's singleness, it sounds like now is the time.
Now is the time. And I just reposted a picture of him at a minor league baseball game in Charleston with who I learned is a new cast member, a producer, and Sally, who a lot of our followers seem to think Sally's a good fit for Craig.
I could see it. She's got her own career. She loves living in Charleston. I could see it. And I think she's smart too. And he does seem to like smart women.
And she's gorgeous, which doesn't hurt.
So
we get to, bless you. So we see Andy say in the next part of the reunion, there'll be more stuff. I don't know if he said that, but we know that. Yes, he does, because he's like, we'll get into the breakup more later. But there was a clip, and we haven't seen the full scene yet. But Andy says to Paige, I notice you're not saying his name. Is that on purpose? And she says, I'll never say his name again. Although in the first part, she did say his name because they made the joke, like, where did he give this ring back? And then she goes, oh, where did he get the ring or something? And she goes, oh, Carl gave it to Craig. That's where Craig got it hot. Yeah, that was funny. But here's my thing that I can't seem to wrap my head around. I understand she's mad that he didn't stick up for her. I get that. And I get being mad in the moment, and she feels he should have. I think that he clearly could have stopped the flames, but she'll never say his name again. Are we missing something? Like, why is she so mad?
I can see that. So first of all, like, I did think what she said about how they didn't discuss about how the breakup was going to go. I was actually really surprised to hear that, and we've never heard that before for a few reasons. Paige is obviously really smart about media and the way that she handles it, but my guess is that, first of all, I think she probably thought everyone would take her at her word about why they broke up, not realizing that so many fans had this, I know she knew this, but that they had this idealized image in their heads of their relationship, and especially of Craig, because Craig presented as, until this last season of Summer House, and with some like things here and there, pretty much as the perfect boyfriend. And I think, I guess, too, it really took her by surprise at how he acted, because I don't think she thought he would do her dirty. And
I don't think he thinks he did her dirty. I think he feels like, we broke up. Why do I have to come out and say you didn't cheat? Like, you dumped me.
I think that was the big thing. It's still recent enough that we can all remember, she got so much flack for the breakup. And I really do think, like, everyone's entitled to their own narrative after the breakup. But I do think he did her dirty by not correcting people. Because by not correcting people, he really fanned the flames when it's got to be so painful to be going through this. But then to keep seeing more and more headlines and people on TikTok being like, did she cheat? Has she been with this guy? Has she been in his DMs?
And then you have Dumois saying that she is still with this guy, Joe, who is the same guy that people are. So I just think for her, she feels like she's getting stuck being labeled a cheater when in fact they were broken up. And maybe she did start dating sooner than Craig anticipated, but I didn't cheat. It's not the same. So if she's still with the guy, once she comes out with him, the narrative is going to go back to, you see, that's the same guy. That's just what's going to happen. I'm not saying it's right, and I'm not saying it means she cheated. I'm just saying, as a blogger, that's how it's going to flip. Right now, I feel like it's been like more pro Paige, but it'll go the other way because eventually, if she is dating this guy, as people keep saying they're spotted together, eventually it's going to come out, and then she's going to have to face that. And she'll be asked again, but wait, you weren't cheating, but isn't this the guy you were spotted at 2 weeks after you announced your breakup? And the timeline gets lost because she said, we broke up a month before that.
But I think this is why she feels that way. And like,
that's
never
why
say
she's
his
mad
name again, because he could have just put up a story on Instagram that said, guys, Paige did not cheat. That's all. He didn't have to say it on Watch What Happens Live. He wouldn't have to do it on video. He could have done something very simple like that.
That we all could have screenshot and shared.
Exactly. And we would have. And it would have been part of the thing, but it would have made all of the talk die down a lot. And to be fair, she was the one, she decided to announce it on the podcast because she saw that he was out being single. And
right.
I do think she got an unfair amount of flack because she protected him. She also protected so much of what was going on and protected him. I think she felt like I protected him for so long. And then he had a chance to very simply just say, guys, Paige didn't cheat. We broke up for other reasons. There was no cheating. And he did. I don't blame her. I would have been real pissed about that too.
I agree. I would have been real pissed too.
Yeah. I also thought that the victim stuff, he didn't have to play up all the victim stuff too. He didn't have to say he had a ring, especially knowing that they had a breakup conversation for the first time 9 months before they had actually had the breakup. I don't know. I think Paige came off pretty well. I want to see what you thought about Ciara, because I was really surprised that Ciara shared so much about her family life. We'd known that she didn't have a relationship with her dad, but we didn't know that she was struggling so much with her relationship with her mom. She said on the reunion that her mom has now been married a few times and that Ciara struggles with it because she thinks her mom accepts whatever she gets versus waiting for or getting the great love that she deserves. And it was like a bell ring in my head. I was like, ding, ding, this made everything click in place for me, because thinking about why, her relationship with Boston Rob, it was such a sweet and like close relationship on Traders. But think about it. He acted in the dad role during that bug challenge. And it made sense, why she seemed so closed off to men. And then it really made a lot more sense about why she reacted the way that she did to the breakup and the aftermath with Wes, because she was telling him about this and her struggles with her family, and then her complicated relationship. I hate to call it daddy issues, and then he left her. He abandoned her. And I think that is where a lot of the hurt really is. It's not just because Wes was very, on paper, I ghosted so many people, but Ciara, I actually felt like I actually did it the right way. But it turns out it wasn't really just about what we saw on camera and what we read in the articles. It was a much bigger thing with Ciara that Wes also knew about.
I thought that her sharing, which I feel like she shared more at the reunion than she has in the time we've known her over these seasons. I thought it was good and necessary for us to have that context as an audience, as fans. And I find Ciara, people always say she's closed off and she's guarded, and she is in many ways. But I also find her to be such an incredible friend. And if she's your friend or if she's in a relationship with you, she's got you 100%. And I think it's fantastic. And she knows what she wants. Now she just has to align that with her picker. But in the case of West, I think that she did think that he was how we all saw him when we met him. He was enamored with her. And he seemed like this nice, quirky guy. He did not seem like a fuckboy. Yeah. So the reunion took the opportunity to say, Ciara, everything you just said, you being so sure of what you want, is why I had to end it, because I knew she has a very clear picture. She's really ready to be in a monogamous relationship, and I wasn't there. I'm not ready for that level of commitment. And so you're caught between, it doesn't make him a terrible guy.
Right.
Because I think he was really into her, but then at the same time, he was like, I'm just getting famous. And it doesn't sound good, right? It sounds shallow. And it sounds shallow to be like, God, she's great, but I'm going to have so many opportunities. It doesn't make him sound great, but it doesn't make him the word of the week narcissist. Not that any of them have called him that. I'm just saying it doesn't make him a sociopath. It just makes him a guy who's not ready for a monogamous relationship and who didn't cheat on her, but instead ended their relationship and probably shouldn't have done any press about her, which he admits and he apologized for. Summer is upon us. Hot days, humid nights, and non-stop plans. While it's a lot of fun, all that heat can increase hair shedding, and a packed schedule adds stress. It can impact your hair. Nutrafol's whole body approach and clinically tested formulas support your hair from within, so you can focus on living your best life all summer long. Nutrafol is the #1 dermatologist-recommended hair growth supplement brand, trusted by over 1.5 million people. Anything truly worthwhile takes time and effort. And with Nutrafol, you see thicker, stronger, faster-growing hair and less shedding in just 3 to 6 months. Everyone's root causes of hair thinning are different. A one-size-fits-all approach to hair growth doesn't cut it. Nutrafol has multiple formulas designed to give your body what it needs to grow and support your hair's unique needs. Whether you're navigating postpartum, menopause, a plant-based lifestyle, or simply looking to see less hair shedding, Nutrafol has you covered. Adding Nutrafol into your daily regimen is simple. Purchase online, no prescription required. Automated deliveries and free shipping keep you on track. Plus, with a Nutrafol subscription, you can save up to 20%. You'll have access to free one-on-one naturopathic doctor consults to support you on your hair growth journey. And a Headspace meditation membership is included. This summer, stop worrying about your hair and start making memories. For a limited time, Nutrafol is offering our listeners $10 off your first month subscription and free shipping when you go to Nutrafol.com and enter the promo code GOSSIP. Find out why Nutrafol is the best-selling hair growth supplement brand at Nutrafol.com, spelled Nutrafol.com. Promo code GOSSIP. That's Nutrafol.com, promo code GOSSIP. I'm hopeful that now that so much time has passed, they could work past this. I know that Ciara has a hard time and she's hurt, but she noted that they had a very good friendship. Let's see. I think they'll both be in the house this summer, and I do think that they can maybe not be besties again. And I know people are like, oh, I hope they get back together. I don't. If Wes comes back to her, he's got to 100% be ready and know he wants that. And I don't think he's there at all. So I hope he doesn't do something like that. That would just make everything a lot worse.
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if you had this thought or have had this thought. I bet you have. And I bet a lot of the cocktailers have too. Looking at a Ciara who is smart, funny, creative, beautiful, it really shocks me that I don't want to call Wes a bad guy, but it just shocks me that somebody like her can't find the most amazing guy. You know what I mean?
I think that she doesn't give a lot of guys chances. And I think that in both the case of Austin and West, the close proximity in the house weakened her to give them a chance, and she got screwed over both times. I don't think she's the kind of girl who, if she's out with Amanda having a cocktail, is going to give a guy her number to get to know him. And I think that those are the sort of things she's going to have to start to do if she wants to meet somebody. And unfortunately, dating is taking chances.
Yeah.
When you go all in, and we've all been there where we're like really starting to like somebody, and it is always scary.
Oh, sure.
And you never know if it's going to work out. But if you don't go for it, and if you spend your whole time worrying that it won't work out, then you're never going to have that great love that she wants.
You'll never fully be in it. Yeah.
She's never mentioned therapy, and I think she would benefit from it.
I agree. I definitely agree.
But I think Ciara, there's obviously people who really like her, but I think people are really hard on her. And I am happy she gave this perspective, because although I didn't know the details, I always saw this about her. Like I never took her guardedness as bitchiness.
No. Yeah, I agree.
But I think it's easy to misinterpret it. And I think that's because she's so pretty, right? Because like, when you're so pretty, you're like, ugh. And you're like not the friendliest too, but it's not that. It's even in her female relationship, she needs a level of trust. Like with Lexi, like when Lexi said to her, and now I don't trust you, Ciara was hurt. And we can, of course, dissect how Ciara was flirting with Jesse, but Ciara tried to explain it. This was always how Jesse and I were, and we were like that in front of Wes. I gave him a peck on the lips in front of Wes. It was just our dynamic. I never had any real intention of dating him. I wasn't trying to slight you. And so I can see both sides of that too. Like I can obviously see why it bothered Lexi. Lexi never pulled her to the side, and maybe things would have been different if she would have been like, it kind of bothers me. I don't know. It is a share house after all. And you even see Kyle being silly with the girls. If Amanda got jealous every time. So,
of course. We saw Andy, when things turned to Lexi, ask her, like, hey, after watching the show, is Jesse the only person you're mad at? And she then points out, no, because Paige and Amanda were encouraging Jesse to go after Ciara and saying that he should flirt with her.
And Paige was very quick to point out, rightfully, that, hey, listen, I never said that Ciara and Jesse should be dating. And Amanda says, that was me. I was kidding. But I also told you shouldn't be dating him. I will say that then when they were talking about Toegate, they were all, and I get it, the sucking of the toe is funny. The whole situation was comical. But like Lexi's sitting there, and Andy actually pointed out, like, guys, everyone finds this funny, but Lexi.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I understand. There's a lot of different ways to take this group of girls. It does become, when you're with your girlfriends, it does become like you're a force, right? It's almost like there's a wall. You like have the strength together. Right. So it's hard for Lexi as a newcomer to permeate that. And obviously, these girls are not going to be mean girls in the way that's obvious, right? Mm-hmm. They're not going to say, ugh, look at her lip liner. But there are ways of making people feel like they're not welcome. And I just think that, I don't know. I think that as a group, they can be very intimidating.
Oh, absolutely. But
I don't know if it's purposeful.
Sure. They're beautiful. And then the three of them had custom-made designed outfits for that party. But I don't think that Lexi didn't really try that hard either. And it would have been interesting to see that. And I don't think it's fully fair to blame Jesse for that. I know,
but we don't get I think Jesse's very hypersensitive to any backlash, but I don't really feel like he got a ton of backlash because people, the audience and the cast, aren't connected to her because she wasn't their friend and we just met her. And
there definitely seemed, back to the toe sucking thing, to be this kind of almost the boys will be boys attitude.
Yes.
From Lindsay and the men. And then Amanda, I think, gave her a full on brush off by saying it was just an alternate universe kind of thing. Like what?
Yeah, about Ciara and Jesse.
Yeah, about the Amanda. And it felt like a real brush off. And I just think Paige, Amanda, Ciara, I just don't think they ever took Lexi seriously. Like, it was like, oh, you poor little young, beautiful girl. She didn't listen to us and she should take her punishment for it.
Spot on. It doesn't make them terrible people. And I do think that they can move past it. I do think if Lexi's back in the house, she can form relationships with them. It's not like they were 100% Team Jesse. They pointed out where he was wrong. They were honest with her and were like, listen, he's been very flirty. Like, I don't know if you should be jumping into this because we're not seeing what you're seeing as far as his commitment to you. So I think that they can move past it and hopefully form a friendship because I do think Lexi will be back. And there's very mixed feelings on that, but just the show's got to go younger, so they're going to try with her.
I agree. So we've got the next. Do we know if this is 3 parts or 2 parts, the reunion?
I'm honestly not sure. I think 2.
Okay. Because we're going to get to hear a little bit more, I think, about Lindsay and what's going on with her personal life and the baby daddy.
And the editing is making it look like she says shocking stuff, which we all know we've been tricked by Bravo editing too many times to fall for it. She could say very little or she could say a lot.
Yeah. Knowing Lindsay, they'll probably not just be, it'll be more than just a little bit. And then Kyle and Amanda, I think we've been hearing about them having children has come up. So we also know that this is going to be discussed at the next further on in the reunion.
It looks like they really get into it, I think. People are asking why Amanda is the first chair. And obviously the first installment of the reunion, she didn't do much. But it seems like they are going to be speaking a lot about their marriage and their struggles. And I would guess that's why she got first chair. And then Imrul, like, they did address him being pigeonholed as the orgy beast. Yeah. And I just think he handled it really well. I think he was like, yeah, I was pigeonholed, but I also have to take some accountability. I led with the sex parties. When he shared about his, like, family not inviting him to his nephew's birthday party as a result, that made me sad. We know in real time he just lost his dad, so prayers to his family. I don't think we'll see him again. We may get like an appearance where he pops in for a couple of weekends. I think that the cast kind of felt a little bad that they pigeonholed him too.
Yeah, but I don't know. I don't feel like I respected that he did take accountability and that he said it himself. I led with the sex party, but who does that? I'm sorry, when you're getting to know a group of people, like
production, when they tell you we're going to bring you on because this is going to be a great story, lead with that.
Right. But then you do, like, why wouldn't he have thought that through? Because you and I both know, and this is not just on reality TV. If somebody sits in chocolate and in high school, people will call them shit pants, and that will stick with you for life. I don't understand why I am not saying that this happened to me. Thank God this did not happen to me, but it's the kind of thing, right?
Did you see there was a sloth on stage at the reunion? I feel like that was a shout out to the cocktailers.
I did see the sloth, and it was like front and center for a lot of the scenes. I'm trying to remember whose shoulder it was behind. Maybe Andy's.
It was Andy's.
Yes, I did see that. That was funny.
I know.
I should have known better, honestly.
Yeah, he's not a kid. He's an adult. Let's grow up. The only one, though, Carl, I got to tell you, he sat there, and I like Carl, and I really wish him well. But the man doesn't have a thing. He doesn't have he's got nothing to talk about without Lindsay. How could they possibly have him back? Although, let's see.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see what happens with him because part of me, like, feels protective towards him.
I know.
He feels a little like a young child in his sobriety and like how fragile he was and after losing his brother. And half of me is bored silly, but half of me also wants to protect him. And this is why you see my opinion change week to week on so many different things, because it's hard to not see both sides. Before we move on from Summer House, I wanted to have you share some intel about Paige and how much money she makes, which I knew she was doing well, but this was quite surprising to me.
So yeah,
share with us, cocktailers.
The great thing with having all of you guys is you guys are all walks of life. You all have different jobs. And so one of you DM'd me and you work in influencer marketing. And last week, Amanda and I had a conversation about, we don't know that this is going to be the case, but chatting about the future of Summer House, Amanda and I really were questioning, like, will Paige be back full time? How much does she
need it?
Does she need it, right? Like, I think I said, like, the check seems insignificant when you think about what she's making on her Giggly Squad podcast, tour, brand deals. And so one of you guys sent me a thing and said, Paige's Summer House check is not make or break. And I want to share some intel. I work in marketing, and her rates for 2 social media posts, okay? 2 posts is like today she just did a Dunkin' Donuts ad.
Yeah.
$500,000. Just posts, not appearances, not mass ads, just posts. So like a Dunkin' would be more than that because she was actually in it. And this follower said, I don't think people realize how inconsequential her summer house check is for her and how disproportionate the amount of effort she puts towards it is. And not firsthand, but I've heard from other people at my employer that she makes 6 figures a month just on her retail storefront affiliate links. Someone else read, so one of you guys, another cocktailer, read this because this was only in Cocktail Party. If you're a member, these are the kind of tidbits we share privately with just our subscribers. Someone else followed up and said, hey, B, I also work in influencer marketing and I worked with her this year and she makes closer to $200,000 for 2 posts. So still a lot of money. $200,000 for 2 posts is a fortune. Like, she is building an empire. So inspiring. We love to see it.
Yeah. I know we're both fans of Paige. She is definitely a star. Another thing that's really popped off yesterday, there's a big situation going on with the Manzo family. So if you guys will remember, Dina Manzo, who her daughter is Lexi, Dina and Teresa were best friends. Gia, Teresa's daughter, had Lexi on her podcast this week. And Lexi shared a lot of information about the situation with her stepfather, Tommy Manzo. You guys will remember he was sentenced to 84 months for physically assaulting her mother, Dina, and Dina's husband, Dave, at the time. Or they might have just been engaged. I can't remember. Lexi shared, so she had shared a Facebook post, I think it was, or some sort
Don't
of post.
Don't poke the bear. It was like she wrote a blog. Don't poke.
Yeah, it was like a blog post back in the fall, I think, just giving a lot more details. And you guys will also remember we found out that Dolores and Caroline Manzo both wrote a character letter for Tommy Manzo as the whole case was going on.
So I'm going to try to explain what went down. I'm going to try to summarize it because I reposted stuff and it is very hard to follow.
Right.
So Tommy Manzo, who is Albert Manzo's brother, Caroline Manzo's brother-in-law, married Dina. So Dina Loretta is sisters with Caroline. Tommy Manzo is brothers with Caroline's husband. So 2 sisters married 2 brothers. He's convicted and serving many years for hiring somebody to physically assault Dina and her husband, Dave. It's not just Dolores and Caroline who wrote character letters for him, but cops, judges, the mayor of their town. A lot of people wrote character letters for Tommy Manzo. We discussed this on this month's Zoom. It's incredibly disturbing. And what we pondered on the Zoom, is there a world that all these people thought he was this great person? Certainly that's possible. But it's also possible that he's a scary guy who was connected to people willing to physically assault people for him. Connected to organized crime is what was said in court. Again, these aren't really, I don't even want to say rumors. Like, yeah, some is alleged, but he's convicted. He's doing time.
Right.
So Lexi, he's now away in jail. Lexi is dropping a shoe line. So the last time she wrote the blog post, apparently there was a partnership with Home Goods. And I know this because Ashley, Jacqueline Loretta, okay, so that's the one married to Caroline's brother, posted a reel on Instagram yesterday backing the Manzos, saying, this family took me in when I had nothing, and obviously she's team Caroline. In any event, Lexi went on Gia's pod. Yes, Teresa's daughter. We know that Dina and Teresa grew up together, and obviously Lexi and Gia know each other their whole lives. Lexi went into detail, and what she shared was when her mother and Tommy split, Tommy threw her out of the house and he kept all of Lexi's stuff. And she doesn't mean just like shoes and bags, like family stuff, like pictures, right, like stuff from her grandparents, like this kind of thing.
Right.
And Lexi, Dina's daughter, said that she feels that Tommy kept this for leverage and power over her and Dina. He always wanted them to come back. I think he believed they would. Him and Dina had a very tumultuous relationship. They broke up and made up a lot. So I think he was shocked that she finally moved on, moved to California with Dave, got engaged, got married. After he was convicted, Lexi reached out to Lauren, her cousin, Caroline's daughter, and said, listen, your uncle has all of my belongings. Can you help me get them back? Lauren said, let me see what I can do. I don't know who has access to the house because apparently Tommy had a girlfriend. At this point, Lauren shares that her family stopped contact with Tommy. So while they were initially supporting him, Lauren went to TikTok after the podcast. with
Right.
Gia and Lexi. Lauren basically, she's very vague in her TikToks, but she says that they no longer have a relationship with Tommy.
And that she was forbidden from going to the house.
So what we all take it to mean, those of us following, is that when Lauren and Caroline and Albert and the brothers realized, oh my God, he actually did this, and they were presented with the facts, they disowned Tommy Manzo. This is what Lauren's saying. Okay. Lexi reaches out to Lauren. Lauren calls her and says, hey, listen, they're having a garage sale. So Lexi's like, please go. And Lexi says that Lauren wanted to send someone else. And Lauren is, these people are dangerous. Lauren actually responded to an Instagram message and somebody said to her, why didn't you go get Lexi's thing from the garage sale? You and your brothers and your mom. Wow, family is everything. And Lauren responded, we couldn't get into the house. I don't have access to the house. I don't have a relationship with my uncle, and I was told I was not allowed in the house. I went to the garage sale and tried to get her things back, but I was kicked out. I was on private property. It wasn't my uncle's house. I could not break into the home. I tried everything. So it's really interesting, okay, because Caroline did have a relationship with Tommy, as did Albert, after he was accused of this crime. We don't know the timeline, but it seems like once he was convicted, they disowned him. What are your thoughts on this?
I think the more we hear, the more I think people were scared and maybe still are scared of all of this. And I think Lexi putting that all out there, that is from it is hard to believe why nobody was helping her get her stuff back. But I could see a situation too where even the rest of the family just didn't want to get involved, either just because they didn't want to get involved or because they didn't want to get the wrath of Tommy Manzo, because he is clearly a really scary man.
I think the assumption too is, and we don't know how this plays into it, but the brownstone is owned by Albert and Tommy. So when they all sided with Tommy, I think as viewers of the show, the facts that we knew were like, oh, they're siding together because they own the business together. And that may have been part of it. But I think what Lauren was trying to express in her vague-ish TikToks was like, these are dangerous people. And I couldn't just roll up in the house because they could hurt me. That's kind of what I took away from it.
Should we start talking about this?
Yes. This is all alleged. We don't know anything about anything.
We don't.
With that said, does that preclude Carolyn from reaching out to Dina? And the only reason I say that is because I do feel that Lauren would have mentioned it and been like, my mom has tried to reach out to Dina, but she doesn't want to talk to her. I don't know. I think it's a very complicated situation and quite honestly scary.
Yeah.
But I wanted to try to explain it because everything's going around and you guys are all messaging me. But this is basically what we can make sense of.
Yeah.
So the message is, don't marry your brother-in-law's brother.
There you go. And I have to say, Lauren looks gorgeous, by the way.
Gorgeous, yeah.
She looks really beautiful.
She was very open. She did one of the GPL ones, and she owns, not a med spa, but she owns like a beauty bar. Yeah, and she often shows like cosmetic procedures, and she's very open about all of that. Always has been, even when she was on the show.
So moving on to the Valley, one thing we can share
from one shit show to the next.
One of our cocktailers shared that they know a producer on the Valley, and that producer on the Valley had told this person that Danny's drinking allegedly actually is an actual problem.
Okay, so that may be the case, but what's currently happening is a real reach. And I say that because this whole thing is because Danny drank too much at the Vineyards and missed dinner because he was napping.
Or, yes, from what we saw, right? That's what they're making it about. But my thought
they want it out there.
Janet and maybe Jasmine, whoever's behind it, saw there's a weakness with Danny and Nia and was just waiting to pounce, waiting for the quote-unquote minute to pounce.
Which is why they took this opportunity, because another might not present itself.
Right.
I do have a bit of satisfaction that Jason is showing himself to be exactly like his wife, which is what I always suspected when everyone was like, oh, but she can't be that bad. Look at her husband. I'm like, just wait. The same way we found out Brittany was a bitch, it's coming.
Yeah.
The apology to Danny, all of a sudden he was so apologetic after he like attacked him at their dinner, lunch, whatever that was.
First in Santa Barbara, he said it wasn't that big of a deal. And then at the burger place, jumped all over him. And then gave a tearful apology at Brittany's shark party.
Yes. And so I originally said like the whole thing about the ring. I was like, I don't think there's much to it. But now I'm looking at it and I'm like, maybe he isn't as innocent as I really thought. The same way that Danny's drinking, there might be more to it. There might be more to him going out without a ring, and they're just using what seems like not much to start to out something bigger. I'm just saying his reaction to me did not look like that of an innocent man. Yeah, I don't know. This cast just keeps on giving dirty laundry.
I completely agree. And I agree with you that Danny's flip-flop going back and forth felt very much like Janet was pulling the puppet master strings behind the scenes. And also that Jason has been hiding behind this nice guy image for a while. My eyes are on him too. So in the show, Brittany got together with Schwartz, which I have some things that we'll talk about Jasmine, but I really got the ick from her this entire episode. But when she goes in and is just, I'm going to take his name down on all of this stuff. And I'm like, what's making you so mad?
Yeah.
You're going to Jax's bar. Like, you've been there before. Okay, Jasmine, calm down. We didn't really even need you in this scene. But anyway, they're talking to Schwartz, and Brittany shares with Schwartz that Jax hasn't paid the mortgage in months. I'm really curious. I think I know what you're going to say, but I'm curious to hear what you think about this.
So first I want to say, because some of you guys have DM'd me and said, like, you have been in marriages where there was financial abuse, and all of those things are very real. And Amanda and I have spoke about it many times, how we feel it's so important that both partners in a relationship, men, women, because women can do it to men too, Jen Shah, know their finances and know all of that. Yes, I do not want to discount anybody who is in or has been in a situation where their partner financially abused them. However, in this case, I do have a hard time feeling sorry for Brittany, as our listeners know, because your name is on the mortgage. You know your name is on the mortgage. You have some sense of responsibility to know that, like, what's going on. But even let's say that this was just a typical marriage. But in this case, you're dealing with somebody who you have shared has a cocaine habit, who is in rehab. I just feel that if you're in a relationship with somebody who is Jax and all of the things that he is, and you've shared that he is, and we know that he is, why would you think any of his bills are on the up and up? Like, isn't there some level of responsibility to know that things in your name are being taken care of? Of course he's an asshole. I'm not discounting any of that. But I'm more surprised at her surprise.
So this is what I thought that you would think. And I agree with everything that you're saying. But I also am thinking about everything that Brittany has been going through, which she's the one keeping Cruz afloat. Jax refused to move out of the house to the point where he was even okay with his autistic son being removed from his environment because Jax was so adamant that he stay in quote unquote his house. So you're Brittany. He's saying, this is my house. This is my house. This is my house. You know, you be the one to move out. And so she does. And she's also handling the nanny. And she signed a 3-month lease for this other place. I could see a situation where she's so busy just keeping things afloat, right, while also being on camera, that it didn't occur to her to check. And then when he did go to rehab, she was like, oh, I should check. She didn't even have access to the house, it sounds like, because Jax was essentially being a troll in the house. And so I think, yes, she's absolutely responsible. And I think she knows that. I think it would have been surprising to find out that after Jax was so adamant about it being his house and that I think it would have been a little surprising. And I can see how
I can see that point.
It was
right, and he really is making
she just took her eye off the ball a little bit because
he had so much else going on.
Her, yeah, and he tricked her to the point where she had to go and start all of this other stuff to take care of her kids. So I have some sympathy for her in this situation, and especially with her taking on, and it sounds like her mom had been a big help, but she was really the one keeping everything afloat, plus filming full-time for the show. You hear a lot of things that people learn about their spouses when they go through a divorce, things that they had no idea about.
No, that does make sense. I guess just watching it in my head, I'm like, of course he wasn't paying the mortgage.
Yeah.
Like he wasn't doing anything he should have been doing. He kicked his son out of the house.
Trash.
Yeah, trash. So, but looking at it from that perspective, like she was juggling so many things.
Just trying to keep everybody.
And also the fact that he was, for the first time in years, earning a paycheck because of the show. Maybe she also assumed, okay, he's got the money.
Exactly. So back to Jasmine, because I think I told you, I just mentioned, like, I really got the ick. This is also because we learned this week that Jasmine has been on a lot of reality television shows. She was on that reality show about the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. She was on The Bachelor with Nick. We talked a little about this in the Zoom. She was on X on the Beach on MTV. So
wait, there were others. I screenshot this. Because
Bachelor in Paradise.
Single and Thorny, 1 episode.
Oh, I didn't know that one.
Food Paradise, 1 episode. And she was on Vanderpump Rules, 1 episode.
I thought we had seen her on Vanderpump, which that one would, to me, would be okay because it's in that universe. But
so we have ourselves a professional reality star making Lala and Scheana look like it's...
Yeah. And just watching her with that scene where she demanded another apology from Danny, I had a hard time really following why she demanded another apology from Danny. I understand what she was saying, and I understand that the situation where being in a gay relationship, there's a lot of difficulties that come along with that, but why she was demanding another apology from Danny after he had given a heartfelt one about his behavior.
Listen, if she doesn't want to be around Danny and after his behavior, she has every reason not to, then don't be around him. Then don't film with him. Don't go on trips if he's going. But this whole thing of calling him an alcoholic when you're friends with his wife is... First of all, it makes you very wrong, too. Danny was wrong for what he did, but if he does have a drinking problem, it really isn't right what they're doing. And in my opinion, such an obvious attempt for a storyline. Like, it appears that Jasmine is in a happy, healthy relationship, and she doesn't really have much personal drama to give, which is very rare, because the rest of the cast does. But her and her girlfriend, they seem fairly normal. So, to me, she is trying to... make storylines where she can, and this was the easiest place for her to make a storyline. This is your 5th reality show.
I liked her a lot last season.
Yeah, I did too.
But not, I got the ick.
I don't believe she has main character energy. You can like somebody. Like, I like Gabby. Everyone calls for Gabby to be off the show on Summer House, and I'm the first one to be like, I like her. I don't think she's main character energy, but I like her, and she's good for the show. Doesn't mean she has to be the main person.
So what did you think of Lala and Scheana at the party? I gotta say, I don't think I've ever seen Scheana talk so little. So I give this a 10 out of 10.
Lala, you don't like Jesse, but is Lala such great friends with Michelle? I don't know.
Maybe, but like it felt like it came out of nowhere, and they are trying to make fetch happen with Lala being on the show, because do we really need to see Lala come on and yell at Jesse? The stuff that Jesse did was absolutely shitty.
Yes.
Although I thought, again, here I am laughing at his scene that was so shitty. Like I don't know why I just laugh at his particular brand of shade when he was like, yeah, I called her a lighting, cheating whore. And yes, she lied throughout our marriage. And yes, she cheated, but I shouldn't have called her a whore.
Yeah.
I'm just cracking up at this. And I feel like a bad person for laughing at it.
And
but it's funny.
I don't know where Lala and Scheana fit in, but I do know that they are currently casting for the Valley.
Yes.
So we have some intel.
Yep. Okay, so here is what we were told, that the production is interviewing for casting, and they interviewed Tom Sandoval and his girlfriend, Victoria, which you guys already knew. We had talked about this, I think, a couple of weeks ago, that Tom has really been angling for a role in the Valley. Scheana and Brock. Okay, no shocker there. We already knew that. But the third one, or Jeremy Maddox, Ariana's brother, who has had some brushes with the law, drug arrests, that sort of thing. And then Jenna, who we talked about this, I don't know, a couple months ago. So Jenna is a personal trainer that a lot of them go to, but Jenna also used to date Aaron with the bug eyes, who is dating Michelle.
First of all, I just want to know, how does Aaron get these beautiful women?
Who was it on? I think it was on Heather McDonald that Heather said he's much better looking in person. I gotta go with
the cat. Does the camera add 5 pounds to his eyeballs? What is happening with that man's head?
I also look at him like, I think he's just so
corny,
not a natural on camera, that he pulls a Ramona, where Ramona was on the runway
when she's modeling,
when her eyes were just like popping out of her head.
So Jenna actually did film a little bit in second season. I guess we're going to see her. Michelle apparently refuses to film with her, but I don't think that matters, because if everybody on the Valley was cut because somebody refused to film with them, then there'd be no cast.
Yeah, but I also wonder too, if that causes issues with everybody else, because I think Brittany goes to Jenna, and then I forgot who else, but Brittany is supposed to be Michelle's BFF. So I could see there being some drama there.
Because I think if you're not on a show together, Brittany using her as a trainer is one thing, but now bringing her into the show and filming scenes with Brittany would be a different thing for Michelle.
Do you think that production should add to the cast?
I think they should take away from the... Okay, I have to say this. I think that Janet is getting a kick out of being the villain. I actually didn't get to listen to her on Nick Viall's podcast, but I did see like the trailer, and she's like, so I'm the worst. And it's so performative, and she's really enjoying being the quote-unquote villainess. But I just see her as a thirsty fan, and I just see her as trying and not really doing anything, and I would be really happy if she wasn't on it. Like, I understand there are people who we may not like but make the show go. As an example, I don't personally like Michelle and Jesse, but I think that they make the show interesting.
Yeah, I agree.
Whereas Janet doesn't really have any personal story. She doesn't have a personal storyline. Her only storyline is that she brings up other people's stuff and calls other people names and starts problems with people. But her and Jason's life is not interesting. He's an attorney and she is a reality star with a child, a mom. So I do think there's space to cast. Tom Sandoval, people don't want him, but yet he's also going to be on Special Forces, it was just announced.
Again? Wasn't he on that already?
Oh, I'm sorry. House of Villains. Excuse me.
Oh, House of Villains. Yes.
Yes.
I guess I don't know that I feel like I need to see Janet off, because I have really enjoyed the Kristen versus Janet. I've enjoyed that. And I've enjoyed Kristen saying, I am coming for you, because I think what I see in Janet is somebody who is a fan, I agree, and has been trying to do some self-producing. And I think Kristen will take her down.
Yes.
Sees through it. And so it does. I don't disagree with any of your points, but I'm not at the point where I'm like, I want to see Janet off. I really, though, think she should be somehow disciplined for outing Nia.
You want to
going
see Kristen
to
Dowdy discipline
on
her?
Yeah, I think formally disciplined for outing the Al-Anon thing. I just think that is an unforgivable offense, and that she should make a formal apology, like a real apology, not the bullshit apology she did on Watch What Happens Live, but a real apology.
But here's the problem with that. You're furthering outing Nia, because Nia may not want to share whether we don't know if this is something that Janet just said or if it's something that's true. But if it is true, why should Nia have to like cop to that?
That's true. And then speaking
and like her giving a formal apology is almost admitting it's true.
Yeah. That's true. I don't know. Or maybe behind the scenes they discipline her because I think that's unforgivable.
Cameras are going to be up on the Valley soon because these babies are popping and I hear it'll be up soon. So I do believe we'll be getting word on who's filming soon. And again, it could just be that we see Lala a little bit. Lala's name isn't on here at all, by the way. Yeah. I don't know if that was just they forgot to add it or what. But I do think that now that Vanderpump is off, I do think we see Sandoval. I just think it's production. It's the same town. They do hang out. He is in the mix. They do like him for whatever reason. I'm not agreeing with it. I'm just saying what I think is going to happen.
Give him his own show. If you like him so much, then don't put him on this show. Because give him his own show, and then the people who love him can watch him. I have zero interest. I did enjoy him on Traitors, but I don't really need to see him. I don't want to see him on the Valley. We
laughing at him on Traitors. We didn't enjoy him.
I did read an internet rumor, and I'm going to call this an internet rumor because it was a post of somebody that had posted in another group on Facebook or something. So this is not something that was given to us or emailed to us. I did see a rumor that Jax is going to be fired.
I did see that too. I haven't heard that confirmed. And I think it's certainly possible. But again, I don't have that confirmed. So a cocktailer did see Jax on a flight from Philly to Turks and Caicos or some island yesterday by himself. So I don't know what that's about. And if cameras are up soon, that's odd.
I bet the cameras won't go up until July.
Yeah.
Again, just like they usually do.
And again, the
babies are both due in June.
And they may just be filming pickups with Nia and Kristen. So that we may be getting that and it could still just be casting around. Like they know who's definitely coming back. So like we could see like Zach, Kristen, Brittany, Nia. Like they could be filming together with the babies and then full production in July.
Yeah, I agree.
Like group events and stuff because they do that often. We love you guys. And till next time.
Bye.
What's up, cocktailers? We want to thank you, as always, for listening to Cocktails and Gossip. Because of you, we've hit some amazing milestones, had some hilarious conversations, and have grown a truly amazing community. If you haven't already followed our podcast, hit the follow button in the top right of your Apple Podcast player, the follow button under the show logo on Spotify, or the subscribe button on Google Podcasts. We thrive on you, our audience. So make sure to tell all your gossip-loving friends about us too. And if you want to get all the tea, join our membership cocktail party by going to bravoandcocktails.com/join. Our members get access to the exclusive tea we post, the weekly podcast without ads, plus another additional bonus podcast every week. And of course, members also get to join us on our monthly live cocktail party Zoom, where we talk about the latest tea and even share tea that's just too hot to put in writing. Last, but maybe best, our members get access to the Cocktail Party Discord, where you can chat with Amanda, me, and all of the other cocktailers as well. There are always some great combos and hilarious comments happening in Discord. Thank you guys so much for listening. We appreciate you.